I just love you guys, and I appreciate you being here for us, and I appreciate you doing the things that you're doing, and I appreciate you building this. Please like this episode, as well as every other episode you do enjoy going on right now that I'm very excited about. And I see Doge, and I see the realignment of the educational system coming together for a real unique opportunity that we haven't had in a long time. And that's exciting more and more each day. It all comes back to coming back to yourself, taking your you have three brains, right? You have the brain of the head, you have the brain of the heart, and you have the brain of the gut, gut instinct, right? I would love to really be able to get into some comfortable situations where we can start feeding back into the community that we haven't had in a long time. If we take the right approach, we have the ability to really dramatically affect not only the children growth, we could start turning revenues and rolling them into, for instance, here in this small town, seeing what kind of effects we have. We have coming up very shortly, as much as we should. And I think this is probably the strongest because it has emotion as well. And then those two signal to the brain to send out the chemicals that do the work that needs to be done according to whatever I have already talked a little bit about it with Emma on Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd. You see it right there. Subscribe. Well, before, when it was right there, I was trying to mess around. We're having Instagram issues again. I wonder if they're edging us out of there, or maybe the value of Instagram is got to be a little bit better attended to by me. I goofed around a little bit with the hat today. Big day in the world today. It's with the hostages being released. Very beautiful time in that. A lot of hope for peace in the region. We'll see. It's always a trust but verify. But a beautiful step occurred today, and that no matter where anybody sits in the world, that's got to be a good thing. So appreciate you all being here. As you see, we're still in our wonderful place here with the Mangum City Library. We really appreciate all the things that they're doing, and the effects that are helping us to bring this message along. And it's right here, the Regeneration School Project. We're very excited to be part of something that's taken its first few steps. And as you all know, I was fortunate enough to, through this journey, meet up with Simon, and we've developed a little tiny bit of a kinship here as we start taking these paths, these roads, this journey together. As you know, he's the co-founder of Leaf Lab, and if you go on leaf.org. Or leaflab.org, you can find several different tools that we're actually going to chat a little bit about today. You and I have been communicating. See, somebody jumped on here. I appreciate it. Say hi, subscribe, like the show. I'll be taking the hat off after a little bit, so don't worry. I'll get a little bit more my age. But just in a really good mood today. I'm really happy in how some of these programs are moving along and how things are progressing. As we've talked about, and Simon and I were just talking about it backstage in the green room a minute ago. We were talking about how it's this baton that we've kind of been able to see somebody else joining in. Hey, how you doing? Subscribe and like. But this is a very exciting time right now because it seems like our missions are very much aligned and have come together for a reason. This doesn't have. I mean, I talk about luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that's not this. There's also this other thing where the forces of the world, of life, of vibe, of energy, whatever, however you want to say it, somewhere along the line, there are things that line up and you don't even know why or how it got there. But then when you start looking back, you go, okay, so something makes sense there. And I the longer I'm working with Simon and what he's doing just to me in my life and thoughts and processes and really kind of opened up. You know, I had this program that I've been pushing just kind of like this, pushing along, but all of a sudden some of the dots really got connected. And I want to talk about those today with him, if you guys don't mind. I know this is an open mic, so whatever you guys want to talk about, but you know, this is a thing that's really become dear and wonderful to me and in a purpose, in a life purpose that, you know, sometimes people find it early in life and sometimes they find it a little bit later on, maybe had to go through and collect a whole bunch of things before they were able to actually accomplish this thing that we'll now call Regeneration School Project. Coupled that with LEAF, this organization, this grouping that's a series of different, as Simon and I were talking about, there's different organizations. You know, this is an entrepreneur, so there's other things that are also being involved in what makes his world, what that looks like. We're gonna dial into, let's call it the leaf.org project or program, and really it's a lab where people, students, businesses come in, and that's where they do the work. That's where some of the things we're going to be talking about today. I want to lift up some. By the way, I was asking him, you know, these accomplishments. If you look at them, and we'll go through them here after a bit. I'm just letting everybody kind of get in and take their seats and grab another cup of coffee or a refill on the tea, and settle in, and we'll start getting into this. But I want to kind of, as I said, I want to look at the bones of this thing that you're doing, that you and your partners are doing, which is, as I look into it, it's really interesting in that it's kind of taking the one thing that hasn't evolved with our evolution. You know, the Industrial Revolution, humans were changing, and so products and things and support systems and the way business did its work and the way offices, operated. You know, we adapt and we move on. That's one of the things that keep the human species, you know, at the top of the quote unquote food chain on this beautiful earth of ours. It's because we adapt, and we know how to adapt. We know how to build houses. We know how to create heating systems for the winter and cooling systems in the summer. We're not a perfect species by any stretch of the word, but what we are is we are the ones that have been blessed with this earth to continue to grow it if we don't eat each other up in the meantime. And I tell a story, you know, there's the red ants and there's the black ants, you know, and they're mortal enemies. But if you just put them in a jar, you know, and they'll just roll around that jar, what they do, and they don't really create any tussle or hassle. But if you just give that jar a little shake, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they start attacking. The black ants start attacking the red, and the red attacking the black, and killing each other. So what we need more people in our lives like Simon than whoever is in our lives doing something different. So with no further ado, it looks like we got a slow start. I had a feeling today was going to be a little bit of a challenge with the holiday going on and so many world events. We'll probably see some. Oh, we do have somebody loving the energy. Thank you very much. The Luxury Rental Doctor Show. She was on the show. I think she's doing AI, doctor appointed doctor services through a different way. Kind of what we're talking about here in schooling. She does very, very bubbly, very great conversation. God, it's been about 3-4 months now.
So it's sort of like crowdsource. Is it sort of like a concierge medicine?
Correct.
Yeah, interesting.
What inspired today's relaunch topic? So it's an ongoing, it's a redirection where now Tuesdays is our AI discussion with Brandon. We wanted to kick off Mondays, especially with what we do on Saturdays and over the weekend. What we do with some of the finding the voices for the teens, the preparing kids for the way to make income, how to compete with old folks like me as they're entering the workforce, how to jump ahead of the line, that bridge between education and work abilities. I think that's the best way to describe it. Don't you, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, really what LEAF was about was finding more ways for more learners to fall in love with learning, to feel good about it, to contribute in the classroom, and take that energy out of the classroom into a more positive way of just interacting with the world. Um, we're all teachers. This is a teacher, movement primarily. So we're always looking for teachers, but we also know that most of the best teachers are not the most conventional types, and so we, over the years have met with a lot of unconventional people doing cool stuff, and on our website is where you can hear some of those stories of school people, using the LEAF framework to change how they do stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and that's why I really wanted to kind of get with you, and you're the expert at what this is going. I'm learning a bit from you, meaning I haven't learned enough yet. Not that you're not passing out the information as diligently as you should, responsibly as you should, but and can and do. But as I'm picking it up, it's becoming more and more interesting. I want to, for instance, here, if you don't mind, I'm going to cheat off your website here for a little bit.
Cool. Yeah.
This is the blog. If you go to the blog on leaf.org, l-eaf.org is where I'm at right now. At one point, I think I want to pull some of these up and I'll do a presentation, where I'll actually have you guys see it on the screen. I didn't get ready for this because I wasn't thinking about doing this, but value flow, for instance, talk about this, Simon, streamlining value delivery in schools. And let me just read the first paragraph if I could. In educational institutions, delivering values is about more than just academic performance. It's about ensuring that every process, from administration to classroom instruction, serves the needs of students, teachers, and communities. And then, it goes on. But what struck me about that, well, the obvious struck me about that, but what also struck me about it is it's like we talk about in government. There should be nothing that's not done for, of, and by the people. In this case, it's a smaller version. In a school, it should always be done for the students. What is preparing them for life? Obviously the academics, but all of that. So explain some. We're going to go through a couple of terms that I don't think are as well known in the world as. And like I say, I'm the safety net. If I get it, everybody's going to get it.
Sure. So value flow is an adaptation that one of my business partners and I made of something he had used for probably 15 years, working with C-suite executives, working with the Department of Energy, working with significant organizations, trying to do complex stuff. But what we realized is whether it's your local school or your local mom and pop store, if you're open, it's because you figure out how to deliver enough value for the cash you're consuming to stay open. Really basic sort of metabolism. Value flow.
I just pulled up a couple of these. As we do this, I'll just throw them up and throw them back down.
Okay, perfect. And so, value flow is just, and you can see it there, it's a methodology by which people in schools can make sure that they're using their resources that are obviously limited and their time that's limited to get the most value flow per time or more per resource into the hands, hearts, heads of the students in the building.
So that's you're breaking it back down into God, for so long we've been having this argument in the way things should be run. Should be more business-like, not as much. There's a difference, and there's these different back and forths that have gone on, that have had questions asked. But there must be something wrong with my numbers, because it says I have 2 people on, but I've got like 10 questions, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Must be,
anyway,
something's messed up.
Something's messed up in the digit tree. But this is so, when you go back and you start really looking at this, you have this all the way through. So how many let's go. It's like I was starting to say, it's like the Scouts program. It reminds me of the Scouts program. My kids, we all went all the way through Scouts, and you've got a number of achievements, badges, and I'll point some of these out while you're talking. What are some of the ones that you have seen the most immediate results from? Let's go that way for a minute. Does that make sense?
Sure. So within LEAF, people who are in LEAF, which again are school administrators, school teachers, assistants, paras, and anyone within the school, any adult in the school system, and anyone in the classroom, can learn these ways of working. I'm not sure, Rod, the audio broke up on me for a second there, so I think I missed a little bit about what you were saying. But the short version is there are these.
What are some of your more favorite badges? So there's several badges you see here. We were talking about. There's 2 badges here.
The thing
there's
to understand is. The thing to understand is that they really build on each other. The most basic thing is called workflow. If your listeners are interested, they should just start reading about workflow. Strategy flow, also interesting, but that's more for senior people in the organization. And this would really work in any organization. Value flow, which we were just talking about, is a little bit below there. Again, value flow is you just have to understand what are your processes, who's trying to benefit from them. Can you deliver the same thing for less inputs, or can you deliver something better with the same inputs? And this is just simple stuff. These are ways that people make things that work better together, inside and outside government, inside and outside corporations, inside and outside lots of institutions. So it's just sort of codified, well-refined common sense.
Yeah, and it's bigger than it sounds at the first hand. So we're talking about school. You just talked about a number of organizations that just in general, there's a number of organizations that are getting more into this efficient flow, the values, the ways to operate moving forward. Let me hit a couple of these questions, but I also know you're playing that down because there's some big stuff that that just in general is happening, and that's exciting, obviously for the recipients as well as your organization. But my point is how interesting that let's see. Let me use a different example. Kaizen a while back became in the 80s became a workflow to be able to do what, and this is Kaizen almost is kind of, I don't no knock or anything, but kind of a light in what you're working towards here. And then I look at the school system, Montessori. What was her name? The lady
Maria.
that created Maria Montessori back. God, that was forever ago, right?
120 years.
Yeah. So those things have been on the quote unquote fringes of being out there. And then we've gone through different times and different pendulum swings back and forth. Well, I think the numbers got fixed. There's 350 people on now.
Okay.
So the pendulum swinging back and forth, but they've always been there because it's, like you said, it's common sense stuff. And when people actually back up, like my son Brandon, my granddaughter, she's operating far above skills levels at her age, and she's been going to Montessori schools, preschool, but she's really, there's development that does occur if you approach it right. I just want to clarify something. You're talking about here in the teachers or the educators, but this program sits aside of the other four. So you've got, you'll learn now, you'll learn in school in an optimistic world. You'll learn now at schools, you'll learn math, science, English, history, and how to get ready for life.
Yeah. Fifth discipline
project.
That's right.
All of that, and being brought up in that standard, just like the military used Kaizen for a long, still probably
still do
that way.
Oh, they still do.
I mean, it's because look at the difference in how effective the military, right or wrong, whatever, but the effectiveness in just the operations, and to where the rest of the world is still trying to just frickin' see where the dust is so they can maybe catch up, because they've been doing this. And this is a Chinese, right? Kaizen? No, Japanese. Right? Japanese. Yeah. So we learned from something that's been around forever. So I say it's still around, but it's been around forever. And look at, the Japanese culture is an amazing culture in itself, but I digress. Let's get a couple of these questions on so we can kind of get back in here. So thank you very much. She's loving the energy. This conversation feels so needed. Thank you for hosting it. Thank you, Devon. And powerful topic. How can more communities join this movement? So we were talking earlier that I always get these kind of questions here. Can you help me out, Simon? 700.
Sure.
Can you help me out, Simon? Because, there was only one way. It's like, hey, why don't you donate or do something? That'd be awesome. We always need input. Definitely subscribe and like the show. but can I give a better answer to these people? Because I don't have infrastructure, something set up to be able to give Mario a very valid question answered.
Right. Easiest thing, Mario, is if you're on LinkedIn, you can just find me on LinkedIn and send me a message. I'm always happy to interact that way. Rodd has my email, but the most direct thing to do is just go to the l-eaf.org website. And there you can put in a request to learn more, and we will gladly take that request and chat with you to help your community kind of link up the pieces like we've been doing for other communities.
Yeah, because this isn't just Mangum. We readily and wonderfully talk about this. It's one community at a time, or it's if it's 50 at the same time, whatever. But you get the point.
Yes.
You get the point. We're linking up smaller communities because it's easier to manage here, and then scale, and then in my case anyway. We're pulling that together because it's easier to kind of figure out what, who, where, and when, because I don't, I'm just learning about school education systems and this and that. You're, and by the way, Mario, doesn't matter big, medium, or small. I'm doing it that way because I got to learn stuff. But the LEAP program is something that's matured. It's already capable of helping, right? Community. You talked about somebody in Santa Ana, California, right? Is out there and part of the teamwork and so forth and so on, right? Was that a yes?
Yeah. So, the easiest thing to, I wasn't quite sure what the question was. But, the short answer is there's lots of ways, small, medium, or large. This is built by educators for educators. If you want to make something better, we have something for you. It's kind of as simple as that.
So Kate here says, appreciate the authenticity here. So refreshing to hear. Thank you very much. The Regeneration School Project sounds incredible. How did it begin? It hasn't really began. Well, I don't know. Can we say is it began? Really?
Yes.
It's
I mean,
the
when
efforts
I
are
met you, it
beginning.
was going. We added some kindling together and got some sparks going, so it's going way more. But yeah, no, I mean, this was your vision, Rod, to be like, how do we un-F this country by building a middle class that knows how to understand, measure, talk about, and deliver value. What a radical idea.
It is pretty radical. I hope stormtroopers don't start crashing in your front and back door there for such a radical or impossible statement. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it be, for us to live in a world, I call it a utopia, where literally the human race is, we've done a lot of incredible things for the human race. I went through that whole story, but can you imagine being every single, let's call it child, has gone through a educational system that looks like this, and then brought that skill set and that inner working, because it's not just about, hey, learn your checkbook, learn about business. Let me hit a couple of these while we're on.
Sure, because and
here.
if I can just add, because you're right, it's not just the technical stuff, it's the people stuff. It's how do you work on a team so that everyone on the team finds a way to make somebody else just a little bit better, so that as a team their value greatly exceeds the sum of their parts. It's the basic thing. We know these things. We've just been slow to adopt the ways of working, the ways of learning, the ways of collaborating, and fit it over, like you were saying, that 150-year-old, older factory model that just doesn't do it for most kids.
It's funny, as you were talking, and as the two atoms in my head hit, they collided, and it created a spark. And I thought, okay, so what's been going wrong with our society lately? Pull that back off. What's been going? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. What's been going wrong with our society lately? And it's what we talk about. It's
the ants in the jar. It's the ants in the jar. I mean, you just said it.
It's that, and we're also being separated. We're staying away from each other. And yes, it is the ants in the jar, because they're trying to keep us separated. But what's interesting, you just said something, connecting online, teams. When you have a teammate, there's a different, it's like somebody, your military in the Army, if you've gone to war together, that's a whole nother relationship. Obviously, that's that. And then in that same arena, not life at stake, but you've battled with your team against another team, and you spend your years while you're in that sport or in that whatever, if it's a math team or what, you're closer, you're tighter, you know each other, and you're open because you have this commonality. You just use the word team member, and it's that whole nother level of, also there's that benefit. I'm not trying to oversell it or anything, but it just popped in my head that we've been separated for so long. Here's another way for us to come together, for the great middle class to come together. I'm not saying to everybody tomorrow jump on eLeaf, but our leaf.org, but I'm saying, the more people that do these kinds of things now, there's what was that disease, that flu, what COVID, was, it put us, what are you laughing at? I'm not trying to be anything there. I'm just saying that thing. It was horrible because, talk about separating people.
God.
Talk about the ultimate separation, and the whole, you have to be 6 feet apart. Well, that's where our energies fields are. They're 6 feet out. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but I'm just wondering if that's a coincidence or not. But what COVID did do is it opened up us to now use that after we've kind of got some things going here, because now we wouldn't, if it wasn't for COVID, these kind of activities wouldn't be like they are. I mean, it just, the whole thing kind of like flipped itself. And I don't know, it's just an interesting observation. I'm going to get at, do you have any comment to that, or can I get out of it by bringing one of the smart people back on here? Bob Kasumyan, how did this project first get started in Mangum? That's a good story. Let's see. Let me see what this one is. What's been the biggest challenge working with teens in this movement? Okay. The fact that they have Friday nights and Saturday nights is probably one of the bigger problems there. No. We'll get back to his question in a minute. I do want to kind of talk about these bones, because I know we're talking about them in general sense, but I want to get on to a couple of these, because it's the preparation of life that we haven't really talked a lot about. It's preparated by getting in and doing projects, but you're also learning about, delivering schools, streamlining value, learning value flows, learning workflows. This is stuff that somebody wouldn't normally ever see until they're in like a business management course, or they're at maybe not C-suite, maybe middle management level. You start learning about this type of stuff. Unless you took business, I talk about producer Barbie, said one of the, shocked the hell out of her. She's not, if you ever met producer Barbie, she's a very self-attentive and attentive person. And she's got also a lot of, she's intelligent as hell. And she's a real money person. And in other words, it makes sense, and budgets, and she can make dollars in business stretch for a lifetime. Well, maybe not a lifetime, but she can make them stretch. But my point being is, she took all her regular classes. This is back in California. And there was this one class that I think she came in late or something into the system, but all the other electives were taken, but these management courses, those were, of course, the ones that weren't taken. Funny, isn't it? Anyway, she owes that moment in time to basically shaping the rest of her life, which has been very successful, multiple homes and different things. And this is something that was in high school, later on in high school for her, but that's very early on. Imagine if we were learning all the learning flow, how it started. Oh, wait, what's this one? I didn't see this one. All right, talk to me about this. The Montessori school, that combination. Tie that in.
Sure. So
I do remember this, actually. Go ahead.
For sure. Yeah. So the short version is that Maria Montessori understood that a learning environment is what the teacher creates. That we all come to school ready and wanting to be good students and good learners. The teacher has to create that and provide learning materials and stories to get our curiosity generated and aligned. Workflow, to get back to your question, Rodd, about sort of the bones of this thing, that is workflow. Workflow is the bones of it. Now, in this case study that you're showing on the screen, I was on the board of this school. So I was one of the trustees of the school. And like many small schools, we really wanted to.
Simon, Simon, just for my own education, are we looking at the whole, is the PDF filling up the screen, or are we on stage?
I'm seeing the screen of the Montessori school.
That's it? Good. I want to make sure that was doing what I wanted it to do. Go ahead, sorry.
And if you scroll down just a little bit, what you're looking at is kind of Command Central. So right there, we basically had strategic initiatives that we broke down into school objectives that got broken down into department goals.
Hey, wait. What are we looking at here? Hold on.
Yeah. So this is what's called.
So this. Go ahead.
This is strategy flow. So this is strategy flow. This is like workflow on a bunch of steroids. Workflow really.
You're teaching this to high schoolers? And
Yeah,
college people?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, they get this. This is not hard for them, and it's not hard
Yeah,
for
no,
them
no, I
because
know.
yeah, yeah.
I know, but they're learning it.
Oh, totally. Yes. So strategy flow is obviously way more complicated than workflow. Workflow is the bones. Workflow is that area of this thing that you're sharing that says shared learning goals, 2 to 6 weeks. That's that one thing. When you back these other things up behind it, you're looking at higher and higher sort of shells or layers of the institution's strategy.
Wow.
What that lets the head of the school and the board do is agree with the leadership team about where are we going, and then getting out of the leadership team's way in getting there, so that you
Say that
take
again.
micro. Okay,
Say that
so
again.
sure. So the board of directors job, and this is true in, I mean, anywhere, the governance layer, their job is to set strategy with the chief executive and the executive's leadership team. That's
Correct.
just organizations 101. Now,
Correct.
how it is that the board interacts with the leadership team should really only be at the initiatives level, maybe at the sort of school objectives level, but they should mostly be really just focusing on where are we trying to go, and then getting out of the way and letting those good, smart people in your organizations figure it out. If you tell them both where we're going and how it's going to get there, you're in Suckistan. You're in just like hating life, because all of the reasons that you would have to go to work, your ingenuity, your creativity, all that, there's no point in that existing. And that's why people hate and are disengaged at work, because we have so many bad bosses who think that they need to both tell people how to get where they're trying to go and where they're trying to go, and they don't. They just need to get the strategy and then let the people at the front lines think, learn, improve, and improve the tactics.
So this here is the boss's education.
Correct.
And then does the employee have education as well
Oh,
to
yeah.
understand what they're doing, or is
Oh,
there
yeah.
different levels of that education in there?
Yes. 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 And we can, I mean, if you want to bring Todd on, he's the head of the school. We can totally bring him on. He can talk about all this stuff. He's just a dad like you and me. He's just a regular guy.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Wow. There's so much. I mean, we're not even. I hate to admit this, but we're just barely scraping the surface. Which is, as you know, not something that irks me, because I like to dig deeper. But there's so many layers here. Um, what? So in the vision,
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, Todd.
Mm-hmm.
So in the vision you're going through, I think I can come up here.
Right. So what we'll do for your company is we'll do that same thing. When you and me and Brandon get our stuff organized in our app, in our Asana app, we're going to have a
Yes.
version of what you just saw for your media company. That's what we're building towards.
Okay. And that means I have to get smart again, huh?
Nope.
Uh,
You're already plenty smart, dude. You've already run your own machine company. This is just showing you things you already know how to do in a slightly different way.
So what does that look like when we get together, and then at that point where
Mm-hmm.
this starts going through, is that part of that that app and that
Correct.
homework that what I was working on over the weekend? Why
Bingo.
this subject came up, to be honest with you?
Bingo.
That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so then let's pull back the light a little bit more on this, and so here's something that is for me to earn a badge.
Mm-hmm.
Am I on the right thing here? Okay, so
Yep.
for me
Yeah.
to
So
earn a
you would
badge,
earn.
an
So you'd
accomplishment.
Yeah, you'd earn Strategy Flow Certification 1 after working with your Leaf coach in this way for 12 weeks.
Okay, I'm
Yep.
glad you said that, because I was just gonna. I got to share another screen. I'm not gonna. Let's see, how much time do we got? We're about 20 minutes
minutes.
left.
Yeah.
All right. I was gonna pull over and look at, and so let's dig into that a little bit, because now
Sure.
we're starting to say, okay, so there's business owners in here improving
Mm-hmm.
their way of doing business.
Correct.
There's business owners in here having jobs that need to be done, but maybe aren't in the priority level that can go outside of the company for.
Correct.
Or it can now go outside the company. It makes sense to do
Yes.
it that way.
Yes.
And then there's students who have a 12-week program that they get certified in. So so we got the company side. I'm there. Let's move that off the stage for the moment. They're actually, speaking of which, let's just do this. Let's go with, okay, now we have students and we have business owners or managers or wherever that is, depending on the company. They each have different programs that they can take and utilize and do and be part of.
Yes.
To earn accomplishments or
Yep.
the
Either
right word, whatever that right
Right.
word
So
is.
either certifications, which are like the big things, or the skill badges, which are the little small pieces of the bigger thing. And so for your audience who are readers, they can just spend as much time as they want and read until they're truly ill about all this stuff and how we do it.
Okay, so I want you to hit on two other things that I wanted to get to. There's so many. I mean, like you said, all these have learned more.
Yep.
I wanted to look. There's so many different things, but I want to hit this one: macro learning cycle.
Sure.
And the very last one, fostering collaboration.
Yep.
Here's the big problem, especially inner city schools, man. This has never been anything. Collaboration between teachers and students. Is there something I should read in the opening paragraph of this, or so the macro? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So this is just us telling stories of how people use our stuff. If you go back actually to that three-part, sort of that little three-part image, if you go back one screen.
Go back one screen.
Yeah, just like go back.
Here?
Yeah, so just up right there. Yeah. So you see, and you might need to zoom in a little bit, how the dark green says, actually just scroll up one more. There we go. That's it. So these graphics, and this is really, we designed these things so that 5th and 6th graders would not be intimidated, because 5th and 6th graders know how to do this stuff. And I've shown you pictures of 5th and 6th graders using these methods.
You have.
Using sticky notes.
5th and 6th grade teachers.
Yes. Yes.
Right? I mean, those are the ladies we talked about last week or something, right?
Exactly. Yep, exactly. And so it's what I wouldn't want your listeners to do is be like, whoa, this is too crazy and this is too technical. It's really not. It's just a different way of structuring the interactions between students and teachers, where teachers are not prison guards, but they're more like curiosity farmers.
Ooh, I like that.
To go back to your thing about Maria Montessori, that's what you're trying to do. Humans are God. I mean, we want to find tools. We want to make tools. We want to use tools. We want to make them better. A Barbie doll is a tool to figure out who you are in the world. A G.I. Joe, also a tool to figure out who you are in the world. And, these are all just sense-making things. What we're showing you here with Leaf is just when big kids need to go make money and a livelihood for themselves and their families, these are the sort of things that the highest performing organizations do. And we just distilled it down into ways that are just approachable for everyone. That's the essence.
Hover right there. These things that you're talking about, meaning the micro learning cycle, student-centered activity.
Correct.
These are what the most successful corporations in the world do and organizations, large organizations do to maximize on their own efficiencies and effectiveness in what it is that they do. You're just bringing it to the point that it is and taking all the scary words out.
Correct. Correct.
right?
So this is basically value engineering as told by Tom Gilb starting in the 60s up until now.
All right, now, this one's interesting to me too. Introducing the learning
Kata.
a
Yep.
simple scientific approach to improving classrooms.
Yep.
Is that the direction? Is that like producer Barbie? When she decorated the home and had to be lined out in certain ways so that the energy flew in the right. Is this something along this line or something totally different?
Yeah. So the learning kata is an adaptation of kata as done by Toyota. So for all of your listeners, for all of your listeners who have ever been in a martial arts dojo, you know that the forms that you go through are called kata. So kata is a form. It's a coaching and learning form. It was developed at the Toyota, and we've further refined it, into classroom application. So that's what this story is about.
Wow, that is very interesting. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's go back over here. Let me pull this down.
Oh yeah, can I speak to this question about how are young people responding to these conversations? Yeah.
Yes.
So the answer is they line up to have the conversations. When we started this project, we realized that, and I've said this to you before, young people know they're getting kind of the booty end of the stick of a lot of stuff in these last couple of years. And so we have people literally lining up to come into the lab because they know that their options for getting real work experience are few, and the chance that they could get real world experience, not get yelled at, and actually earn a professional certification, not by just taking a one-time test, but a 12-week demonstration of the skills. They're responding positively because it's a tangible thing, and they come out of the lab with, digital portfolios to show. So they're responding by like, wow, this is tangible, this is practical, and so the short answer is responding well.
So a couple things here. I want to kind of go back to what I was talking about and kind of fill in the layers a little bit. So this tangible, the students are coming in, they're not paying for any of this, right?
Not in the lab.
No.
The lab is free.
Yeah, and so they're coming into that, and they're taking a 12 or 26 week. There's a couple
12 or
of them
24 week. Yep.
24 weeks. Sorry.
Yep.
And then also business owners. So what are the most frequent? How do I say this? What is most utilized in the lab by these two differing groups of people?
Workflow and value flow. Yeah, workflow and value flow. Because every company speaks the language of business. How well it speaks it to its audience and to its people determines how long it stays a business. So that's what they're learning.
Interesting. And the same goes for the students, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because they're learning what the businesses need to learn.
They're learning the language of digital business.
They're learning it up. I shouldn't say up front, but much sooner than
yes,
when you're actually in the business.
So they are learning it up front, and that's for a reason, which is my business partners and I have taught these methods to senior executives who are salt and pepper like you and me. And a lot of them are very sure that they know pretty much everything. And so what we found is teaching these ways of working to people who didn't think that they were experts was much, much easier. So the uptake is much, much faster, frankly.
Yeah, because they're accepting it in, right?
Because they're stoked.
They know what they're hungry. They know what they're hungry for.
And they smell an opportunity that doesn't smell like BS.
Yeah, that's very good. Michael, here, what's been the biggest challenge when you're working with teams? We skipped over that.
Yeah.
And I made a joke about it. But what do you? I'm going to have you, because really I'm just kind of folding into things. But I've looked at a lot of the students that are in your program that are from different backgrounds, all sorts of things. And so what's the biggest challenge that you have? I mean, is there a group of, let me change this. Let me add to it. Let me add some color in between a couple more layers. Is there,
like Emma, I was surprised. I guess I was surprised. Got it right away and connected. And we haven't talked enough about that program. Why do you think she connected with it so much? And are there certain teenagers? I know the answer sort of to this already, but is there different teenagers built differently, or will they all at some point very easily find this appealing? Because not everybody wants to live in their parents' basement for the rest of their lives.
Sure. Yeah, so let me speak to that, and actually I can just start with Michael's question about what the biggest challenge is. The biggest challenge, honestly, is getting them into the habit of proactively communicating if they're going to miss one of the team meetups. That's the thing. So biggest challenge, proactive communication from teenagers. I mean, surprise. I mean, this has been the thing forever.
Yeah.
Now, Emma, what made her grasp it so quickly is, I think she is one of those many young people who aspires to do something or be something with their life and are looking for ways and people to help them do it. So I don't think it's,
Well, she as she said, and several people in the audience said the same thing. She went on like 80 interviews, and probably 30 people look like me were going to the same thing because they're running out of money. Their life is going further than what the middle class provided growing up, or whatever, however you want to say that. But also they're competing with all the other kids out there now. They're competing at I call it starting at the head of the line and a little bit closer, because they have this digital footprint. But also now they're competing, which I think is exciting, that she, adding a little, icing on the cake. She's not competing for a McDonald's job or some boring job that she's got to learn how to work. She's learning how to work while she's doing something that she gets to choose, probably a lot more interesting, and then can be employed on a much higher level.
Yeah. And so
I was looking at the camera. I didn't know if you were doing something that would.
No, it's all good. So this goes to your second thing about, are there different kinds of teenagers?
Right.
There's an infinite number. Here's the secret about the lab. Here's the secret about the lab. This
is what I wanted to get to. Okay, here you go. This is what I wanted to get to, I think. Go ahead.
The teams set their own work schedules in the lab.
With each other?
With each other.
And so they start already building.
So they commit to each other first, and then we bring in coaches after they've committed to each other.
Wow. And you're talking about, to go through this program, you're saying they dedicate about, to get their certificates, about 4 hours a week, something like that?
So it's a minimum.
Or your work you do?
So it's a minimum of 2 hours, and it's a maximum of 5 hours a week. So it's a total commitment of 60 hours.
Oh, wow. So minimum of 2, but you can't work more than 5.
Correct.
That's smart. Any reason why, where those numbers, is there anything to those?
So yes.
Too much,
Yep. So in 2 hours in a week, you're going to be attending a couple of meetings. Those are going to take time. If it's 3 20-minute meetings, that's one of your 2 hours, and you have an hour to work on other stuff. So 2 hours a week is not very much. The reason we cap it at 5 is all of the students are already students. So they've already got, if they're in college or they're in graduate school, they got plenty of stuff to do. So we cap it at 5. Same thing with high school. So we cap it at 5 because they're often busy, often overcommitted, and we just want to cap that and not add to that.
Makes perfect sense. All right. I think, how are young people responding to these conversations we talked about? Brother, I'm a little surprised. I thought this was going to be a very low attended show with everything going on, and there was we just were shy of 800, and
nice.
And so very good. But I mean, is there anything that I have missed? There's so many more questions that I want to go into this and figure out how to talk as we kind of go through the programs.
Yep.
Maybe we'll flip it back over to specifically Mangum next time, and kind of chat directly in that arena. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we started this in Yeah, I mean, we started this in 2020. It's now towards the end of 2025. So this is years of blood, sweat, and toil of a lot of people. So for us on your show to unpack it in a couple hours would be fine, and I'm always glad to come on. But we're not in any rush. Like we'll take as much time to unpack it as slowly for your audience, because this is really for all those people looking for rungs for their younger loved ones to the American dream. So we'll take as much time as it takes.
Yeah. We also ought to, at some point we ought to do a little history, go back 5 years. One thing we never
Sure.
done is said, okay, how, I know you've been a teacher, all that. We're not going to do that today, but in the coming weeks, we ought to do a little, hey, what's going on? What was the journey that got you on the journey? I know you had a lot of educational prowess in your life. So yeah, be interested to chat with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You good? You good?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Carry the power, brother. I'm going to put you back in the green room and we'll go from there. Right. You take care too. I am so horrible. Someday I got to just get a producer, maybe someday. I don't know. It may not be as fun if it was actually done right all the time. Here, let me end it this way. Speaking of that. All right, I'm going back to getting some more stuff done at my little abode at home. So I'm going to be checking that out. I'm very excited to be in a good mood here. I was happy to see that so many people came on. Still have several hundred on. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody. Please like the episode if you like what you're hearing, and subscribe. We're on a mission to get to 10,000 subscribers by the 1st of next month. So help us out. Let's do it. And with that,
before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
and with that, producer Barbie and I are out.